We're speaking with Sally Smith of Buffalo Wild Wings. She's one of the Food Channel Pro's Leaders with Guts. What are you doing to prepare for that role, and what is your company doing to prepare to have you away from the office so much?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how I might get out of it. No, that's just a joke. What am I doing to prepare? Certainly working with the executive team at the National Restaurant Association, trying to make sure I'm very familiar with the issues. I'm reading a lot, both from whether it's the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, trying to stay abreast of what are the national issues out there that could affect the industry. They've got a great team there, so they do a really nice job of keeping us ready. Already working on my 2011 calendar. I've asked for all of the speaking engagements that they know of to date that I'm going to need to be, so I make sure that I have blocked out the appropriate amount of time. From a company standpoint, you know, the board of directors at Buffalo Wild Wings has been very supportive of this. It's been a mutual benefit as well. We have a number of franchisees that have come from my association with the National Restaurant Association. Really? I also have an absolutely fabulous leadership team, and they know that it's going to take up a fair amount of my time, but I know that part of it's going to be there's going to be travel to the different state associations, to different industry conferences, and I know that I'm going to combine that with some of the work that I do at Buffalo Wild Wings, whether it's store visits, whether it's looking at real estate ahead of time. You know, with technology, makes it pretty easy to stay abreast of things, and I think they're really looking forward to having that involvement next year.
How did you first get involved with the National Restaurant Association Board of Directors?
Well, I remember I was at an industry conference, and a colleague, a well-known individual who was running one of the chains at the time, said, you know, we're looking for we'd like you to consider going on the board of the National Restaurant Association. I, of course, didn't know much about it, but he said, but you have to join the association first. I mean, when I say didn't know much about it, I truly didn't know much about the National Restaurant Association, and I guess I realized now that's where our opportunity lies. So it was a colleague in the industry.
And what year was that?
I think it was in 2001 is when he first approached me, and I became a director in 2002. And now I'm an advocate supporter of the association.
Sally, how has your work with the National Restaurant Association affected your role at Buffalo Wild Wings?
Well, I see a lot of synergy between the two. One of the things that I discovered early on about this industry is the ability to, I mean, this desire or this congeniality among competitors, and this willingness to share. And so as Buffalo Wild Wings has grown, as we've run into things we didn't know about, looking at the association, looking at my colleagues, looking to my colleagues, asking questions, have provided a lot of the answers. As well as certainly meeting people that have gone on to be vendors for Buffalo Wild Wings, and I have several franchisees that were fellow directors on the association board.
Interesting. Who are some of those folks?
Well, Kenneth James opened our first airport location at Houston Hobby in Houston, Texas. He's a fellow director and approached me about they run some of the food service operations at Hobby. And then Roz Mallet, who is following me in the chair, she's the treasurer of the National Restaurant Association right now, is going to open the first Buffalo Wild Wings on an Army base in Fort Bliss, Texas.
And you mentioned the careers in food service as being one of the things that you're interested in. How are you going to address that when you take over as chairman?
Well, I think we need to take a look at the economic model of a restaurant, and how do we it's not necessarily about offering more benefits, but maybe more applicable benefits and really understanding what people are looking for in a career. But it's also getting out there and talking about what a restaurant company does. People always think of, I think they think of a couple of things when they think of a restaurant. They think of the people that are in the heart of the house cooking, and they think of the server. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, as well as other positions in the restaurant itself. And I think talking at universities, which I'm asked to do a lot, talking at high schools, talking about the Pro Start program that the National Restaurant Association has. Right now they sponsor a 2-year program they have about 80,000 students participating at the high school level in something called Pro Start, and it's for those that are interested in a career in food service. And how do we bring that even to more people, or more students throughout the country?
Can you talk a little bit about how you moved up the food chain on the board? You got the executive ranks, and there's a growth spurt there in terms of how you move to the top.
There is, and when I joined the board, certainly becoming an officer wasn't in my vision of where I was going to be 7 or 8 years down the road. But I think I was willing, my background was a little bit different than a lot of the board members. I brought a different perspective, my background in finance. They were going through a transition in leadership at the time, and I was asked to join several committees, of which I was more than willing to share my time and the things that I had learned. And I think as the executive committee looked at, or the nominating committee looked at, who next, they looked at my skill set. They looked at Dawn Sweeney was the new CEO at the time, and probably thought that that our ability to work together and mesh would work well.
And how much travel are you anticipating in your role as chairman?
Well, when you complete when you throw your name into the hat, they say, are you prepared to be on the road? I'm not sure how many days, more than 100 days during the year. And I'm probably on the road more than 100 days in the year now. And the ability to combine with what I currently do, I think offers some leverage, so that I'm able to still fulfill my role at Buffalo Wild Wings as well as the Restaurant Association.
And when you think about taking on this new role from an emotional standpoint, what is it? Exciting? Do you have trepidation? What runs through your mind when you think about what it's going to be like come January?
I feel like I have big footsteps to follow. We've had some fabulous chairmen, and I think I bring a different perspective. I'm probably a little quieter than some of the chairmen they've had in the past. So yeah, it's a scary thought to me. It's an unknown, but I've had a lot of unknowns before, and I'll ask a lot of questions. I'll listen, because I think that's something that I do well, and I think it's people, state associations, or vendor partners, or just the membership that want a voice, and they want someone to listen to them. And I think that if I listen, that'll help me get over the qualms I have about what it's really going to be like.
And the staff is great at the NRA.
Oh, well, I wouldn't have even considered taking this on if I didn't know I had a tremendous amount of support from Dawn, and she's brought in a group of people that I think can really move the association forward.
We've been talking with Sally Smith of Buffalo Wild Wings and the Vice Chairman of the National Restaurant Association. Check out the next part of this series as we explore what it takes to be a leader with guts. For Food Channel Pro, I'm Ellen Cota.